10 random magic cards rated day number 92. Happy Wednesday or something, everybody. I think it's Wednesday. Don't hold me to it. Arctic Tree Line is up first. Only ever printed in Kaldheim. So these are the snow lands that are duals that enter tapped, but they're also lands with like basic land types, right? Like in this case, it's a forest plains. So it can add green or red and ETB's tapped, but is also snow. The art on this is beautiful. Elena Danner, you did a really, really good job. I really, really like that. But I can't really give these more than like a 5, like a 4.9 even. You know, a tap duel isn't great, but a basic gets a 5. These are arguably better and arguably worse than basics. So given that, I'll just stick a 5 on it and keep rolling. You know? Sylvan Awakening is up next, printed in Dominaria. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green for a sorcery. Until your next turn, all lands you control become 2/2 elemental creatures with reach, indestructible, and haste. They're still lands. So this is one of the better versions of this effect that's ever existed. Mostly because it actually gives them indestructible. A lot of these abilities don't. So the indestructibility is incredible on a card like this. I always wanted this to be a part of like a combo deck in Dominaria Standard and never actually was. I'm just not sure we had enough ways to put creatures into play or lands into play. But I still see stuff like this and I think, man, sweeper into this. How do I lose? You know what I mean? So I'm a fan of this. I'm going to give it a 5.4 and it may actually, I'm kind of tempering, right? I want to give it more than that because I've always liked living land effects, and this is one of the better ones ever. Next is Thumming Bird, everybody. This is 2 mana, originally printed in Scars of Mirrodin specifically. This is 2 mana, 1 and a blue for a 1/1 bird horror with flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. Solid card. It's actually in Standard right now, by the way. It's one of the few reprints from the original sort of Mirrodin sets. Or well, the Scars, right? These sets, the Phyrexian sets. It's not very good. It's okay, you know. Thumming Bird's neat. It's pretty neat. Proliferate on combat damage is fine, and it does cost very little to get down. It's got the flying. I mean, there are things I love about Thumming Bird, but I can't really give it more than like a 4.4. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't do the thing you want it to do enough. Just put it that way. I'm still mad at Thumming Bird for missing, like for not being the card I wanted it to be, like in limited. You know, I don't know about Standard or any sort of constructed format. Have we talked about Teo before? Because boy, do I want to. Boy, do I like Teo. I think we've already reviewed Teo, but I think this card gets a bad rap. I think this card is cool. I really do. Just you have hexproof for 3 mana. It's like an ivory mask or whatever it's called. You know, that might be right. But yeah, Teo's cool. You know, leave Teo alone. Ward Scale Dragon was only ever printed in Fate Reforged. This is 6 mana, 4 and 2 white for a 4/4 Drago with flying. As long as Ward Scale Dragon is attacking, defending player cannot cast spells. You know, they'll just cast the spells before you attack. You know what I mean? But that could mess some things up, and especially back then in this environment, it meant they can't like settle the wreckage. You know, anything that says like do a thing to an attacking creature, they now cannot do. So I don't know. It's kind of cool. Costs too much. It obviously costs too much, but I just like abilities like this, even though I think I'm slightly overvaluing them. Because again, like most of the time, you're just going to cast, like you'll go like move to combat, and your opponent, okay, I'm going to go for the throat that. Okay. So, you know, I'm just going to give this like a 4.8. It costs a bit much. It really does, but we're getting there. We're getting there, everybody. Next is Stu the Conies. This is actually in the mono green cube right now, which I should be able to present like relatively soon, finally. But yeah, this is 3 mana. It's 2 and a green for an instant. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to a creature you do not control. Create a food token. So bite effect plus food, instant speed for 3 mana. That's actually very good. It really is not bad. We have bite effects that cost a single mana, but often they're sorcery speed. And don't put an artifact /token /food for your food specific deck into play. So yeah, I actually like a lot about this card. I'm going to give it a 5.1. As far as bite effects go, this is not necessarily one of my favorites, but it is better than it gets any credit for. Definitely true. Ring of Colonia, only ever printed in Magic 2013. Are you a stinker? Or are you actually really neat? Let's see if we can find a hidden commander gem here, everybody. 2 mana for an equipment. It's not looking good. That equips for 1. Equipped creature has trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on equipped creature if it's green. I remember you now. I just had to get like most of the way through the card. Yeah, I know you. It's actually kind of good though. I guess you're only going to get a +1/+1 counter like once a turn, you know, but there are ways at hardened scales and stuff. Now I get 2 +1/+1 counters a turn, and you know, whatever. 1 to equip and 2 to play is actually pretty cheap. And trample is not a joke ability. Trample is actually a good ability. I'm going to give this a 5. I'm going to give this an honorary 5, guys. I think it's probably more along the lines of like a 4.7 or something, but I'm sticking with it, dude. I actually think this is kind of neat. I completely forgot about this card. Entirely forgot about this. And now I think I kind of want to put this in the mono green cube. You know? Know what I'm saying? I think, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to Early Harvest. Speaking of mono green stuff, originally printed in Mirage, this is 3 mana, 1 and 2 green for an instant. Target player untaps all basic lands he or she controls. A basic will get you. Really will, man. You gotta make sure your deck is like nothing but forests, effectively, for Early Harvest to work. But I have seen this card generate, you know, 3-4 mana, depending on what my opponent had out. So this actually isn't terrible, and it still carries a price tag of at least $1, surprisingly. So yeah, it's as good as I remember, apparently. And they're still well known. They printed Mirage, 6th edition, 7th edition, 9th edition, and then the list. And I don't know when they printed on the list, but yeah. This card is worth all $1.02 for the white bordered versions. Although you got to get the Mirage one, right? It's so good looking. But still, sick card here, man. I'm going to give Early Harvest a 6.4 because this can actually, especially like in a game of Commander, you know, where you've got all the play extra lands every turn effects going on, and like you've just got a million lands. Like, yeah, this generates a ton of mana if you're doing it right. It's not too hard to do it right. Cilent Spirit. I've gone on and on about this in a video before in this series, so I'm not going to do it now. Just worse Mahamoti Jin. That's really what it boils down to. Gray Pelt Refuge. What the heck are you? What are you? You're from Zendikar. I was taking a break during Zendikar. Land. Enters the battlefield tapped. When it ETBs, you gain a life. Taps for a green or a white. What do you give life gain tap lands? What do you give these? I'm going to stick a 5 on these too. They need to be tapped. They're not better than a basic. Like 90% of the time, they're not going to be strictly better. I mean, it strictly is a hard, you know, strictly means that it's going to be better in every single situation. It's just, is it going to be mostly better than a basic? I don't even think you can make that argument. So I'm going to stick a 5 on these two. Dispeller's Capsule is up next, or Capsule, if you want to say it like a normal person. This is a white mana for an artifact. You can pay 2 and a white and sacrifice it, tap it as well, to destroy target artifact or enchantment. So a disenchant that costs 4 mana. How come, you know? I don't know. It puts an artifact into play. It also puts an artifact in the yard eventually. These are things you might want, but I don't know, man. I'm going to give this, I guess you just play it on turn 1, right? And you just like wait for your opponent to play a good artifact or enchantment. And you've already got the removal. I'm going to give this a 4.2, something like that. It's like Disenchant is better, right? I think. But again, this has a lot more angles on it than Disenchant. So, you know, take with that what you will. Final card of the day is Lose Calm. We're going to have to do a bonus card today. Today has been dreadful. It really has. This is only ever printed in Dragons of Tarkir. And Lose Calm is 4 mana, 3 and a red for probably a threat and effect. Yes. Sorcery, gain control of target creature until end of turn, untap it. Gains haste until end of turn and cannot be blocked this turn except by 2 or more creatures. As far as like 4 mana threat and effect gravy, that's not a bad one. That's not terrible, you know. Take one of their dudes from them and now it has Menace. This is before Menace was a thing. We haven't had Menace that long when you really think about it. Dragons of Tarkir is what? 9 years old? I'm old. I've had this YouTube channel for a while, man. It's crazy to think about. 9 years actually is kind of a long time it's like a decade, man. So I'm just going to give this a 3.4, you know. The threat and effects are okay. They're all right, but they're not great. Probably actually gets a 3. But bonus card of the day is not Forest. Forest gets a 5. Time to Feed from Theros. This is 3 mana, 2 and a green. For a sorcery, choose target creature an opponent controls. When that creature dies this turn, you gain 3 life. Target creature you control fights that creature, so a fight effect. This one I don't love. Sorcery speed, 3 mana, not a bite, it's a fight instead. You know what I mean? I guess you'll gain 3 life, maybe. So this one I don't like quite as much. I think I'm going to stick a 4 on it. Or 3.9. Let's go 3.9. I want this one to be firmly in the 3s. But that is all for today, everybody. These videos have been short this week because I'm experiencing monumental tooth pain. So I'm trying to keep them short. And it's probably I don't have as much to say because I'm not in as high of spirits. But I just appreciate you guys being here. You guys help. You guys help a lot. Even with like tooth pain, you guys help. I'm going to go, what is it, 6 a.m. yet? It's 6:30, hour and a half I get to go pick up my prescriptions. Got to get some antibiotics and some pain pills in me, to be honest. I got to not be feeling this pain. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning, probably in a new shirt. Isn't that exciting? Love you, bye.